All right. Good evening, everybody, friends, neighbors, and happy Thanksgiving to each and every one of you tuning in tonight. Glad to have you here. Hope your day has been filled with good food, warm company, long tables, deep laughs, and grateful hearts. We had ours Tuesday. The girls came up and brought their families, and we sat around and had ham and turkey and all the fixings, and then, of course, followed by the naps and the family reunions, and then the late evenings up talking late, catching up with everybody. Had a wonderful time, and I wish that all of you've had the same. Of course, you could tell that my voice is a little crickety, clackety. Um, anyway, it's got some kind of cold going on. Anyway, go ahead and start checking in, telling me hello, sending me a, a chat, a message over the chat, and let me know what's going on. I'm doing a little bit of housekeeping here while I talk to you. Anyway, cancel. Anyway, here we go. All right, so whether you spend the day among family, friends, neighbors, or simply taking in the quiet grace of these mountains, I hope it was a day that blessed you. As always, before we dig into tonight's show, let's honor the purpose behind the Rabun County Rag. We're a community of like-minded people with common interest in hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. We come here to exchange ideas, resources, and information. On this day of thanks, may we be especially mindful of how much we have to be grateful for and how fortunate we are to call Rabun County home. Y'all go ahead and check in. Excuse the cold, please. I apologize. I'm typing something here. Uh-oh. Anyway. All right. Y'all check in with me. Y'all excuse me a minute. I got to hit the mute button. All right. All right. Well, let's, what time we got here? It's 6:03. We just now getting started. I got a couple minutes left on this. Anyway, I hope it is. Boy, it's getting a little cooler out there, isn't it? The weather's, after that front come through, the weather's cooling off. Man, it's like the weather's going to be in the low 40s and low 50s for the next few days. That ought to get them deer shaking. What do you think? Let me know, you deer hunters. All right, just typing in a couple notes here. Well, shoot. All right. Well, that didn't help none. There we go. All right. Get that. I'm just doing some housekeeping. everybody's doing good. It was good to see my kids come up. Got a couple kids that I'd love to see, but as parents, you gotta let things go their own way, I reckon. And that certainly is my case. Don't mean you don't love me, you don't miss them. But you gotta let them do their thing. Your parents' love follows their kids everywhere. All right, there we go. Now let's get down to business. Sorry about that, boys and girls. I had to do a little housekeeping here. I try to get most things done before I get on here. Sometimes it gets delayed, and if I'm doing it, it needs to be a part of the program. If I'm in the middle of it, it normally it's program related. I try to get the setup done before I go live, and sometimes I overlook stuff. Anyway, let's talk about the gun season a little bit. Gun season's been strong this year. Rabun County harvest numbers continuing to trend upward. If you're a processor, let me know how your business is doing. If you're a hunter, let me know what you've seen out there. And it's following the statewide pattern of increasing success. Now, I'm using this overhead mic tonight, and you may hear I'm down in the man cave, and since the weather's cooled off, the old HVAC system is probably kicking in, and you may hear a little rumbling in the background, and that's just my heater heating the house upstairs. It stays pretty cool down here. Well, I'm 68 down here. When I get the computers and the lights fired up, it stays pretty consistent. A couple degrees above what the ambient normally stays down here. But anyway, the cold warns this past week has triggered some excellent moving from what I'm hearing, and the hunters are reporting good late rut cruising through midday. Some of the regional tactics, hunt ridge to ridge crossings, bucks are covering ground, looking for late estrus does. Looking for a date, boys, looking for a date. Focus near food in the evenings. Acorn plus cold temps equal feeding urgency. With these temperatures dipping into the low 40s the next few nights, I think we got some rain moving in toward the end of the week, so this is a good week to get out there and get after them. Here's a recommendation to rattle lightly from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Post-rut bucks still respond to territory cues. I would call that territorial cues. It says if we get another cold snap, which I suspect is coming upon us, we could expect a surge in daylight activity. Anyway, boy, you know what? I'm looking forward to some venison chili, tenderloin on biscuits. Y'all give me a message and tell me what your favorite recipe is. I don't mind a venison pot roast, to be honest with you, if it's done right. And I've not had very many bad ones that I can think of. Anyway, send me something in the chat. Let me know what your favorite venison meal might be. Now, the firearms season, I believe, runs through January 11th, as does the bear season in the northern zones. Rabbit season just opened up on the 15th. I saw a little hopper out there in the yard the other night, and I'm not opposed to the taste of rabbit at all. I'd like to have me a pair of nice rabbit mittens, but I don't see enough of them around here to make me want to pursue them any other way and keeping them fed and increase the population. But if I ever get too many of them, I know I'll sure take advantage of it. Right now, I'd just like to see the population expand a little bit. Anyway, trapping season is right around the corner. My information shows that trapping season opens on the first day of December. If you've got some differing information on that, send me a message and let me know when it is. But as far as I know, it's the first day of December. And of course, old coyotes, I ain't heard much of them around here lately. I don't know if they moved their territory or whatever, but I hadn't seen. I used to see them occasionally around here, but I haven't this year. So maybe they moved on up the hill over into the national forest, or I've heard some shots at night. Maybe somebody's hunted them out of the area. Don't know. Don't know. Boy, I still got the bunch of squirrels around here. That old bobcat we had around here ain't been holding up his end of the bargain. He might be an old fat dude laying around 'cause he's had so many of them. I don't know. It did seem like I heard old Barred Owl the other night. Maybe he'll move in and take that population down a little bit. If comes, well, I guess come next fall now, if I don't take care of it this winter, I may sure enough have to start hunting them squirrel next fall and winter, depending on how the population is looking out there. But anyway, that's something. Let me know what the squirrel are doing in your area, them old tree rodents, those devils. Anyway, that's something to think about. Got to plan your hunts, even from year to year. All right. That old woodland grouse thing that UGA asked me to participate in, help them keep count of them. And I got to think about it. I haven't seen a woodland grouse in a number of years. And the last time I saw one was the last time they had a good burn over there on the road going up to Wildcat Creek. And I saw one day when I was up there doing some trout fishing. Let me know if y'all got any upland grouse or woodland grouse, whatever they call them, where you live at in the county. I don't want to hunt them. I just like to see them and observe them, learn their calls, and see what kind of habitat they like, just to do, maybe shed some information with UGA, and see if we can't get those populations back up. And it'd be nice to have an ample supply of those. I've seen plenty of turkey in the county. I've seen a couple hens around here. I'd like to see a bunch more around here. It would tickle me to death to see them hens with a bunch of darn chicks following around. That would just make my day if I could see something like that. Maybe that'll happen this year. I ain't heard no gobblers, but I think my wife's seen 3 hens out in the front yard one evening, and I've seen a couple of them up on the meadow, and I've heard them out there in the woods. I'd get out there with a box call every now and then and make a racket. Maybe that drew them in close. I don't know. I have seen big old flocks of them, though, over there in the Persimmon area off of, what is that, Orchard something? Peach Orchard, or I don't know. There's a road back over there. Saw a nice flock. I seen them over Wolford Valley, too. So anyway, if you got, let us know what kind of game you're seeing out there, what you like, and how well it's managed. If you've got too many of them, or you got just the right amount, it'd be interesting to know. Leave something in the chat, and maybe we can start a discussion on that. That'd be real nice. Anyway, looks like we got some cold weather for the next cooler weather, not cold, but cooler fall temperatures. And I think looks like rain's going to be moving in over the weekend coming up. makes me want to think more and more about trout season. Now next week, last week I think y'all saw me in the hotel room, and that may very well be the case this upcoming week. I've got a job assignment down there in Atlanta, in the heart of the beast. The hotel room. It's not bad. It's just ain't got no darn parking. You got to park your darn pickup truck a quarter mile away, and I don't like getting out walking in Atlanta at 5:30 or 5 o'clock in the morning down in that area anyway. Anyway, I can look out my hotel room. I'm probably a block and a half, maybe 2 blocks from Centennial Park, and I can see that big old Ferris wheel. If I peek out the window at just the right angle, I guess that's not too bad. It's just not really my cup of tea after being down there a number of years. Let me know your thoughts on it. Give me something in the chat. Let me know what you think about having to stay in the heart of the beast, I call it, down in the city of Atlanta. Anyway, wants me to turn my thoughts to trout season. That darn old trout fishing is the craziest thing. Trout season is for me is this time of year, and doggone it, seems like every time I get in the mood to go trout fishing, I get summoned off to go do something for somebody. It's a tough choice for me to make because I really enjoy getting out and associating with the guys in the field and being a part of a work crew, getting a project done. I really like doing that, getting out there and mixing it up with them. But then again, I really like trout season. I hadn't come to the point yet where I'd have to toss a coin to determine which one I would go to over the other yet. Probably the older I get, the more likely I am to want to flip a coin and hoping it lands my way. Anyway, with the water temperatures dropping into the low 40s, the trout shifting into winter feeding patterns. So some of these things that I normally try is using those tiny nymphs. Well, I still have my darn... I had old collar of flies in here somewhere. I might have took them to the truck. No, here they are. Anyway, I don't know if this thing will focus. Anyway, I could switch to this other camera, see if I can get it to focus. Let's see what happens. Let's see here. Oh. Which way is which? These little bugs, I've tied it sometime or another, but anyway, got them behind my overlays there. Just can't get them to focus, can I? They want to focus, the thing wants to focus on my face. Anyway, beads, hare's ear bead, beaded hare's ear nymph, copper johns, those kind of things. That's what I like to fish with. Anyway, I don't know if you got to see them or not. I don't mind. I got the old tie flying rig back here behind me. If y'all ever want to have a little program on doing some tie flying, we can sure do it. I don't know if y'all can see that or not. I don't mind. I got a little bit of stuff in there. We could tie some stuff up if you want to. Got a little Renzetti in there. And tie some woolly boogers. Now, I don't get into all them Royal Coachman and all them fancy ties. I don't have the inclination. I don't have the patience, really. But who knows, one day maybe I'll get up there where my legs won't carry me to where I want to go, and I can just sit here and have good memories and start practicing tying some of those pretty flies. What do y'all think? Anyway, I don't even buy them in the store. All I buy is them little nymphs. I buy a dry fly every now and then, a Royal Coachman or whatever. Or, who knows, man? Anyway, but for this winter, you want to keep your hook small. I think these are tied on 18s or 20s or whatever they are. Some of them's got some parachutes on them. Anyway, that's the old trout fishing technique. And deep, slow pools, those trout will conserve their energy. Remember, trout's always pointing upstream, just looking for that opportunity, a morsel to come floating downstream. So if you can pick out the seams of water flow and cast upstream of those seams and let it drift into their nose and kind of bump them on the nose, they might take it. Anyway, and you can use some micro streamers. I've used those plenty of times, and fish those sunny banks too. If you're on, if you got the shore behind you, if you can cast across and there's a nice seam and you got a little sunlight on it, even a 1 or 2 degree temperature difference will concentrate them fish. Anyway, slow retrieve. Them old cold trout, they won't chase. They'll just see it coming and think it looks good. They'll give it a taste. But anyway, that's my cold water tactics and how I kind of do it. I've got all kinds of rigging techniques. That somebody wants to jump on here and talk about rigging up I do spin cast and I do fly fish. In the colder weathers, I have a tendency to do a lot of spin fishing. I call it a trout switch. It's probably about 5 foot long, and it's like fishing with a fly rod tip. And use a little old Zebco T11 with either 2 or 4 pound test on it. Probably closer to 4 is what I use most of the time. And I rig it to get down to the bottom pretty quick and float that way. It makes it easy to fish under that rhododendron and reach out across that pool without having to worry about back casting the ags and all that stuff. Anyway, if you want to talk about that, send me up a chat. We'll start chatting about that. Some of the hot spots is the Burton Hatchery Overflow down there at, what do they call that? Moxie Creek State Park. That overflow and fish on upstream all the way to Hemlock Falls. I've caught fish out of that many a times. The Tallulah River all the way down from the Burton Dam overflow all the way down into where it runs into the down into the Tougaloo down there. Just fish them slow, find them seams, you'll get them. Panther Creek in the lower stretches and up on Sarah's Creek. And I talked about it last week. I need to do a little more research on that Sarah's Creek. I don't think I've got much experience on that creek, and it's not that far from here. And, of course, there's overflow up on the Chattooga. Yeah, one over here at the border of North Carolina, Georgia and South Carolina. I've caught plenty of fish out of that river. Anyway, send me a chat. Let me know where you have your best luck at, and you share where your honey holes are with me. I'll share where my honey holes are. But it's all about getting out there and getting after it, man. Enjoying the scenery. I don't care whether it's winter, spring, summer, or fall. Just getting out there near the water lightens the spirits and gives you the time to, commune with nature and the God of the universe. Anyway, we're moving along. What time we got? It is 6:25. My goodness, we've been at this for 25 minutes already. One other thing I always want to talk about is hunter safety. And I may say some of the same things over and over again, but you know, I want you to be safe. I don't want to hear everybody falling out of a tree stand, getting shooting themselves in the foot, or getting winged by a buddy, or worse. I don't want to hear none of that. So let's always talk about hunter safety, even when you're with your buddies. Before y'all begin the hunt, sitting around the campfire, drinking coffee, or in the evening or something, just take a few minutes and talk about safety. And it ain't got to be, now, hey, listen up here, fellas. I don't want no foolishness out here, but talk about, which way we going to shoot, and where is everybody stationed at, and what our shooting lanes look like, and how do you make sure what's behind your target when you're firing? Are you taking the time to place your shot well? And I know it gets exciting when you see your quarry right in front of you, especially if it's that big old buck you've been tracking all daggum year, and there he is in all his glory. But he's on a ridge line, and you don't know what's behind him on the other side of that ridge. Do you make the shot, or are you patient and let him come on down off the top of that ridge down towards you? He may take off and go the other way, and you lose shot. But I'd rather hold off than to know that I shot somebody's house, or shot a guy on a tree stand on the other side of that hill, or so make sure you know where your shot's going if you miss it. And also, with these temperatures changing, getting warm as the dickens during the day and then cooling off in the evening, those tree straps and the trees, they may change in their size due to the warming and cooling. So check those straps on those tree stands, and check them before you climb them. Make sure they're good and tight. Another thing, make sure you wear good set of gloves. Gloves with a grip. Them old cold hands, boy. They tend to drop things, Even here in the house, when my hands get cold, I be dropping stuff and cussing the whole time. Anywho, yeah, let's keep some of these things in mind as we hunt. And also, let someone know your exact stand location, not just I'm over here on War Woman, or I'm up here on Persimmon. Kind of give them to the spot location in case you're overdue. They can either send help to help you get that big buck loaded back in, or send help in case you had a fall and injured yourself. But make sure you let someone know where you're at. Make sure you also carry 2 lamps. If you got a headlamp, which most of us use nowadays, have a pen light in your pocket or something as a backup, because that cold weather will sap them batteries. And keep that other light inside your jacket, close to the body, so them batteries will stay warm. And like I said a minute ago, make sure you can identify beyond the target. Those twilight shadows fool even experienced hunters. Now, weather is an important part about deer hunting. It does have effects on the deer, whether it's a high pressure, low pressure front, whether the rain's moving in or rain's moving out. The rain keeps them on bed. When the rain quits, then were they going to move more in the daylight when the weather's warmer, on and on again. So we do expect a colder than normal December, particularly at nights. So and we have an increased chance of early season snowfall at particularly high elevations. Now I'm at 2,200 feet across the road here, across the highway over at Black Rock. I think they're at 36 or 38. And what's that Raven Bald at? Anybody know the elevation on Raven Bald? It might be 38. I'm not sure. Let me know. But the weather patterns are shaping up to look like the winters of 2010, 2012, with altering warm and sharp cold drops. January is also looking a little stormy. This is from the National Weather Service. I pulled up the long-term report, long-term outlook. I don't know how accurate it is, but unless you got the Farmer's Almanac at hand, uh, this is what I'm using. If you have some differing information, send in a chat. Let me know. We can talk about the weather. It don't, as long as we talking, that's fine. Anyway, January is looking a little stormy. Potential for above average snowfall in the northern mountains. Well, you can't get much northern than the mountains we're in, can you? So bundle up and keep the firewood dry. Winter's coming in the front door. That's another thing. In your vehicle, I do it. I keep an extra jacket rolled up under the seat. I have a blanket rolled up under the seat. Uh, I always have bottles of water in my truck because I like to drink the water from home versus buying water on the road. Boy, I drank some of that water in that hotel room out of the faucet in Atlanta last week. Boy, woo, it sure played a game on my stomach. I learned a valuable lesson about that. I don't think I'm going to be drinking any more of that. I had to tote a couple bottles of water out of the truck with me up there. Anyway, uh, you know, make sure you got your flashlights. You keep your phone charged up. You never know when you're going to get hung up, run out of fuel. You could get caught in one of them freak blizzards, especially if you travel like I do to and from Atlanta on occasion. Uh, they could say, "Oh, here comes the storm," and me fool around and stay too long and get hung up in a massive backup and something. And God Almighty, run out of fuel. Are up here running around, coming around, going across the mountain, get hung up, run off the highway into a ditch, and there you are sitting for a while till the emergency services can get to you. You might get a little cold if you ain't got some backup. You can live a long time without food. You can probably live a month without food. I'm sure I can live a month without food, but you can't live no more than a day or two without water. So make sure you got water in the way to stay warm. Keep that stored in your vehicle just in case. All right, well, here we are. Thanksgiving. Now, I normally like to talk about something related to Raven County. Uh, whether it's the railroad, whether it's the CCC camps. I always try to always have something about that. But this being Thanksgiving, instead of looking at Raven's specific history, we're going to be looking at how Thanksgiving became a national holiday. The Clayton Tribune has a beautifully detailed article on how it is this week. According to the Clayton Tribune, the first Thanksgiving was in 1621. Now that was 404 years ago. And it was the 1621 harvest feast that happened between the Pilgrims and the Wampanoag. I probably slaughtered that tribe's names. It's Wampanoag, Wampanoag tribe. These were New England Indians, and of course our pilgrims were there at Plymouth Rock. And it was a big celebration. The meal lasted 3 days, featuring venison, fowl, seafood, corn, vegetables, and dried fruit. You know the old story how our pilgrims was starving to death, and them Indians took pity on them and showed them to plant fish heads in the ground when they planted their corn, and to plant the three sisters, where you would plant a corn and beans and a squash all together in a hill. That was called Three Sisters Planting. Then they had the dried fruits that they had picked through the harvest time of the fruits up there, where it was wild apples, persimmons, crab apples, excuse me, wild plums or muscadines. They would pick all that stuff. They just didn't leave it to the wildlife out there. They needed that stuff to survive, and they would dry it and put it in their. They had a pantry, but more than likely they had a root cellar. It was normally a hole dug in the ground where they would store their harvest over the winter time, and if they were lucky, it would carry them through the year. And everybody had a smokehouse, so they would smoke their meat and smoke their fish to help preserve it. But they gathered in celebration, and it's quite different. Now, they did have turkey. They caught them turkey. I believe there's mention of it, of fowl and turkey in particular. But it's different from the turkey we have today. It's not them old hormone pumped up deals that is all plumpy with no flavor. This is them wild birds, that old dark meat, that good stuff. But it's different than what we have today. The person most responsible for making Thanksgiving a national holiday was a lady by the name of Sarah Josiah Hale, also the author of Mary Had a Little Lamb. And this was a couple centuries after it. This was like in 1846. And she campaigned for 17 years, writing to Presidents Taylor, Fillmore, Pierce, Buchanan, and finally Lincoln. And Lincoln agreed, proclaiming Thanksgiving a national holiday in 1863. This was a time during the Civil War, as a day of unity and gratitude. Now, before that, each state celebrated on different days, and some not at all. Hale became known as the mother of Thanksgiving. So tonight, as we sit surrounded by blessings, may we remember the persistence and vision that made this holiday part of our shared American heritage. Very good. And I'm sure there's a lot more to it, and some of you who are more historically inclined than I am can send me a chat and fill in the details, or if you want to send me an article that's more apropos to what I've suggested here this evening in my little ranting, or my little dialogue, or my little monologue, please, I encourage you to do that. I want to be a learned man. I have no claim to any superior knowledge, but I think it's important that we do take a look at the holiday and honor it as a time of thanksgiving and gratitude, where all the work we put forward this year, the getting up out of the bed and going to make that money to buy the groceries, pay for the home, heating bills, the electric bills, the transportation, and the reason we're really supposed to be doing that is to continue on our species, raise our children in the right way. Uh, that's what we're really supposed to be about. And when they come together with you, be grateful, and especially those children and grandbabies. Anyway, moving along, let's talk about some. We got about 20 minutes left here. So let's talk about some Raven County events. You know, that Toys for Tots is hanging pretty heavily on me. I think I need to look into that. And going by there and perhaps writing a check. I got to figure that out. I got bills to pay before I go back to Atlanta. I'll probably do that Sunday morning. Lord. But Raven County is now part of the Marine Corps Reserve Toys for Tots program. And you could drop off toys at the Clayton Tribune. You can volunteer, toy donations, and local support. Apply for, and if you know somebody who needs it. If you're sitting here and you're listening to this live, I don't see anybody on here live right now, but if you see this on a rebroadcast, you can apply for gifts for your family or for other families at toysfortots.org. So here's our opportunity. Now, Foxfire, I always like to say a little something about Foxfire. Foxfire is traditional. You get hands-on classes such as traditional mountain crafts, heritage demonstration, and full museum admissions included. Anyway, here we have a holiday and community gathering. It's called a Puppet Christmas Story at Betty's Creek Baptist Church, and that's on December the 14th at 4:30 p.m. So if you want to entertain those little ones, that might be a good place to do it. Also, Truth Chapel Ministries, December 21st at 6 p.m. Going to be having Christmas carols and candles. For y'all who are interested, the library is closed for the next couple days through the 29th for this holiday. The 29th is Sunday. Oh, no, Saturday. Huh. I think, yeah. What's today's day? Somebody help me out. Day's 27th. Day's 27th, ain't it? Yeah. Day's 27th. Sunday will be the 30th, because that's the day I got to get up early and pay the bills before I head back to Atlanta. Anywho, here we go. Let's see. Now, I have no idea what this is. It's just a listing that Pluriforia give me. A bag sale. Bag sale. It says December 1st through the 6th. I don't know where you might buy these bags at. That sounds like a joke that some old men could talk about about their old ladies. All right. Hey, Santa Claus visits on the 3rd of December. What day is that? That's on a Wednesday, but it don't say where at. Doggone it. Y'all get a copy of the Clayton Tribune. If you want to, bill me the $1.50. I don't care. Just for this week. Pay no subscriptions for you. Also says we have a entrepreneur meetup with scheduled adjustments for the holidays. That's 1 million cups. Business networking. Anyway, that's what I got. All that dry stuff, I guess I could try and add a little humor here. My uncle says he hunts turkey the same day he hunts deer. He goes into the woods, sits real quiet, and waits for one to walk up and ask for directions. Sounds like something my old crazy uncle would say. He's actually out there sneaking him a snoot. Grandma's Thanksgiving rule: if you're too full to get up, you're full enough to do the dishes. Boy, I tell you what, I was lucky for our Thanksgiving celebration. I had responsibilities to manage the turkey, and I had responsibilities to manage the ham. And I was up early, my normal routine, and about 9 o'clock I snuck them things in the oven, and they baked along all day, and I let them sit in there 2 or 3 hours. And my wife said, "Oh, the ham started it covered up." But after a couple hours, my wife says, "This turkey's looking kind of brown. You want me to foil it?" And I said, "Yeah, but let me check temps on it." And of course, I had 3 women over my shoulder. I went to poke that thing, and they had in their own mind what temperature it should be. So I said, "All right, whatever y'all want." I was about 10 degrees cooler than what they thought. But anyway, they kept me on track with that, so that she covered it, and I poked it and checked the temps and came back in an hour and poked it, and it was done about 12:30. And as was the ham, timed that perfect, got everything out of the oven, set them aside and let them rest while they stuck the side dishes in there, and it was broccoli casserole, homemade macaroni and cheese. I'd take that back. My wife asked me to come in and make the roux for the macaroni and cheese, and I did that willingly and happily. Got that done, and then I was back out of the kitchen, and I got to enjoy all the fruit of their effort. I did have to cut the turkey, but I guess when you get to be 63 years old and been around cutting that turkey a few years, you can handle that pretty handily. It don't take but a minute if you know how to carve a turkey, young men. Might as well learn that right off the bat, and it ain't nothing to it. But I had that thing all chopped up and the bones cast aside, and that and the ham set out on the table while they finished it up. But we didn't have no darn cranberries, though, man. I had homemade, I don't know if it's homemade, but we had stuffing, broccoli casserole, deviled eggs, macaroni and cheese, ham, and turkey. By the leftovers, I saw the ham was greatly appreciated. And you know, the only thing I ate on that turkey was the old wing. I didn't make myself miserable. I wanted to save room for that old pumpkin pie, because there's a pumpkin pie and a apple pie sitting there. And my wife made this thing called the Texas trash pie. And it's a combination of chocolate, brown sugar, pecans, and caramel, and coconut, all poured into a pie crust and baked. So I had 2 pieces of dessert, both of them with some vanilla ice cream. So, yeah. And I've had some leftovers ever since, and I might get through with this in the next 10 minutes and go upstairs and have some more leftovers. I don't know. Feel kind of satiated right now. But anyway, that's back to old Grandma. So I got away with it. I didn't get too full. I stayed below miserable. And so I didn't have to do the dishes. That's what I was really blessed with. I normally in there cooking and doing dishes, and them girls really took it up. Made me a happy grandpa. Didn't have to do none of them dishes. You know, only in the Appalachians do you hear someone say, "Save the turkey neck. I got plans for that." And I did. I took the giblets out of it, that turkey neck, put it in a pot, and just put them on a low boil, and the daughter took them home for the dogs. I normally make giblet gravy, but The wife had bought a couple jars of gravy and short-circuited me right out of the process, and I was cool with it. Anyway, uh, you know, I'd like to give a shout out for those volunteers who did do some preparation of Thanksgiving boxes for families across Rabun County. We've got a couple organizations here. The excuse me. First Baptist Church, they have a food pantry, and we've got the Northeast Georgia Food Bank up here, and they do a tremendous job for helping people during the holidays. You know, it may not be the finest meal, but at least there's warm food and some bellies out there when there might not be. So thank you, volunteers, for doing that. And also a shout out for the Toys for Tot local organization, doing big work for local kids. And I'm going to make an effort to take care of that this week. I want to probably, I just don't know who. I'd like to share it with as many as I can, but doggone it, I don't. I'm not a wealthy man. I give a portion of everything I make to charity. Normally give it to a church, but during this time of year, I know this is an important time for children, and children should understand the tradition of Christmas. Not necessarily getting real fancy gifts or anything, but the spirit of the holiday. And along with that, they should have warm food in their little bellies. So I'm going to work on putting something together. I'm going to divide out best I can, as much as I can, and provide under those two things this time of year. That's what I want to do. And if you got some suggestions, send me something in the chat and help me make those decisions. I'd like to also shout out to the Foxfire staff. They're probably mostly volunteers up there doing that work, keeping our heritage alive. And also a big shout out to every hunter, angler, and steward of these mountains where we live, and how they take care of something that they're really attached to. And I appreciate them, and I appreciate their work. I know I work very hard on my little bit of property up here to keep it conducive to the wildlife, and there's some people with a lot more land who spend a lot more time and effort than I do in that endeavor to keep it conducive, to keep the wildlife intact and healthy. Help the ecosystem. And I'd also like to thank everybody who views this program, whether it's live, if you float through and then float right back out, or if you catch it on a rebroadcast. Thank you. Thank you for listening. That, to me, in itself, is a precious gift. But as we start winding this thing down, I'd like to know what you're thankful for this year. I got an itch in my ear. I'd like to know what you're thankful for. Is it your family? Is it you have a warm hearth to warm your feet by every evening on these cold winter nights? Are you thankful for the work that you put your hands into that provides a good living for you and your family? What is it that makes you thankful here in Rabun County? You thankful you had a good hunt, a good fishing season, a safe family, warm fire, lesson learned. Share your blessings, big or small. I'd like to see some photos. If you've got some photos of your Thanksgiving meal, send them over to me. My email address is up here. Send the meals to me, and I'll post them in the live stream, and we'll talk about them. How about your harvest success? You know, send me some pictures. If you're a farmer, show me a truckload of produce, a truckload of corn, truckload of something. Show me your deer harvest. Show me your trout catches. I want to see some of the fruit of your efforts. If you've got some pictures of snow on the ridges, show me some of that beautiful stuff. And if you've got pictures of family traditions, show it to me. Share it with the community. Let's make this a prideful place that I know that it is. And, we've lost local radio stations. We don't have any TV stations. We do have Facebook. And sometimes it gets polluted with political conversations and all that stuff. And if we just want to have a place to come and have a good conversation and build like-minded people who care about their community and want to join together and operate as a team to look out for our environment and our community, let's make this the place to do it. Anyway, don't forget, and I'm going to probably wind this thing up pretty quick, that we're a community of like-minded people with common interest in the hunting, fishing, protecting our community, culture, families, and environment. We exchange ideas, resources, and information. As we close this Thanksgiving edition of The Rag, let us remember that gratitude is more than a holiday. It's a way of life. Tonight, I'm grateful for these mountains, for this community, and for the chance to spend another Thursday evening with you good folks. And until we see each other again, as always, have a grateful day. Have a grateful week. May your fire burn steady. May your blessings be many. And may your heart stay thankful. All right, everybody, this is Bubba signing off from the mountains I love, and I know you do too. Have a grateful day. Sleep, Tiny.